Welcome to the Dr. Hockey Podcast. I'm Dr. Jay Calvert, and on with me today, of course, our old friend, Jim Fox from the Los Angeles Kings. Jim, happy to have you here. How are you doing?
We're doing okay. We're doing okay. Just a little tired from last night. Kind of a long trip back from Winnipeg and customs and clearing and all that stuff. But a day off today, so hopefully get ready for big games Wednesday and Thursday.
These are all big games right now, aren't they?
Yeah, it's down to that point of the season where you can look around and look at the scoreboard and try to figure things out that way. But the best way to do is look at your own game and try to figure out how you can get 2 points that way. And right now, that's been a challenge for the Kings. And now. There's always that, are you looking ahead or are you looking behind? And right now, probably looking behind a little bit with St. Louis only 3 points behind. Kings have a game in hand, but you're probably still concerned about what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, it is, it doesn't take much at this point for those positions to change, and it's scary. Obviously, I know that the Kings are doing everything they can to get there. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the rookie that I saw play last night, Akil Thomas.
Uh-huh.
Is that his first game with the Kings?
Yep, first game with the Kings. He's, drafted a while ago, but he just went through some horrendous shoulder injuries early on in his career. He had multiple surgeries to make sure they would get back to, operating. Uh, but he's a kid that has never been the star really at any level. He might back in junior, I'm sure, but he's not been the star. He's the type of kid that just gets by with understanding certain games, what style is needed. He does have a high enough skill level to add some offense, but right now it's just about getting his feet wet. And
Yeah.
Philippe Danault went down with an injury that kind of shook things up. So the Kings needed someone else. Akil plays center. He plays the wing too, but he can play everywhere. He said it doesn't matter to him whatsoever. He just wants to play.
I think that's the right answer for that question.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, he looked good to me. He looks like a strong kid, number one. Number two, his numbers in with the Reign they were fairly impressive. I mean, they were not chicken feed. So like he's got the ability to score goals and maybe the right line, the right opportunities come like this, he could have some impact for the Kings. I mean, he absolutely has to, I would say.
He's a guy that's going to be a support player right now. This was basically his first injury-free professional season. So
Wow.
that's hard for him to kind of, and then all of a sudden you're jumping into a playoff race at a higher level. Had a great chat with him the morning of his first game, and I asked him, it's kind of the normal questions you ask players. I said, who did you idolize or who did you follow? Who did you look up to growing up when you were trying to, and instead of the Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Sidney Crosby, Austin Matthews, he said, you know what? My dad was a minor league hockey player, and all he wanted to do was be like his dad. And I thought that was one of the best answers I've ever heard.
That is super cool. That's amazing. What a guy. You know where his heart is. For him to acknowledge his dad as being his player to idolize says a lot about him, and I'm very impressed.
Yeah, he has a level head. He's very you can just feel that he has a leadership quality to his personality. Some guys are a little bit shyer. Akil's a very creative. He has his clothing line, things of that sort. He's got a lot of stuff going on, but
Wow.
he just has this, when he's in the locker room, he gives off just a feeling that he's there for the team, and that's something very important.
Well, they're going to need to win these upcoming games. I don't care what anybody says. I don't think the Blues are going to take their feet off the gas. I think that there's there's a clear path to the playoffs for the Kings, but that playoff path has some roadblocks in it and some other teams that are going to have something to say about them getting there.
Well, Doc, to be honest, I mean, it's, if the Kings, and again, Danault, we're uncertain about his health right now, but the Kings have one of the easiest schedules the rest of the way as far as the winning percentage of their opponents. Now, that doesn't mean anything until you win the 2 points. And again,
That's
in a
right.
back-to-back situation, it's tough. The tough travel from Winnipeg, day off, but then right back at it against Seattle on Wednesday, then right back at it the next night and Thursday in San Jose. So against two non-playoff teams at this stage.
Right.
But that's where you have to dig down. That's where injuries come into it. That's where you have to find someone else, and that's where everyone has to, just find a way. And but as far as the opponent's winning percentage, as far as where the home games, are coming into it, and the Kings have been pretty good at home of late. So
Yeah.
not good early in the season, but good lately. So that all those things, that's not playing the game. That's on paper, but the Kings look good right there.
Well, I'll be at the Ducks game on Tuesday night to see that. I'd like to see them, close that out there. But the Ducks they like to play spoilers, even though they're having probably the worst season I've ever seen them have. They still pull some wins out that are really shocking, and the other team probably considers totally uncalled for. They're like, how can you do that to us? You ruined our playoff chances.
You know what? It's interesting because there's always teams that people they play down to their opponents and all that stuff. I'm not sure. I think that scheduling has a lot to do with it. When you get into a situation, I also think no matter where you are in the standings, you're going to have a 2-week span during the season where you're going to be on top of your game. And you're going to be winning games.
That's right.
We just saw a couple last week with San Jose beating St. Louis in St. Louis 4-0. So that comes out of nowhere.
Yep.
So, again, it's up to you. If there's any part of professional sports that is very important, it's between the ears and making sure that you're prepared to play mentally, regardless of the other team and their schedule and their standings and that sort. But if it was easy, anyone would do it.
100%. Winning that cup is an elusive goal, and it's the most coveted trophy in professional sports for sure. What about Kopitar's attitude? Like, how does he feel right now? I know he would only show that he's confident and wants to do it, but what's he busy doing in the locker room? How's he managing the injury situation and getting his team through?
Well, the one thing he's doing is filling the net.
Yeah,
and
he totally is.
I mean, he's putting points on the board at a pace that is extremely consistent, especially here down the race. Again, the Kings haven't been winning a lot of games, but he's been involved in every single game offensively. Of course, we know with Ange that he doesn't give up anything defensively while he's going after that. He is and always has been, and it's the way he is. His way to lead is to go on the ice and perform and show and lead by example. And I would say I can't remember a season where it's got down to crunch time. And I mean, Ange's production has been right through the roof. So he's doing exactly what they need him to do. We've got to find other ways. I think the top guys have been there for just offensively. You have Kopitar, you have Fiala, and you have Kempe. They've been producing. So other guys have kind of slipped off a little bit, and you're always looking for that balance. And balance is the best thing you could have at this time of year, especially when you might have a tough schedule, a lot of games, and not many nights, all those things, to get that balance with everyone chipping in. Back on the blue line, I would say Drew Doughty. I think I can make the case that he's the MVP of the team this year. So the top guys have been doing it right now. They're just looking for a little bit more support.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, Fiala, that goal last night was awesome. High slot, just he gets himself free. He knew exactly what was going on. That was a surgical strike, and I thought it was really awesome. It was and then Kopitar, and they do have the guys that can see that. They can see that net. They know where it is. I loved it. It was awesome. It was really fun. The only downside of last night's game, the Jets put up more goals. They're a tough team.
Got down to the third period there, and it's going in, it was the second best and third best defensive teams in the league, and I actually thought it was a little bit more wide open. I know there was some outnumbered attacks. There was some pretty strong cycles by Winnipeg where they controlled a lot of the offensive zone possession. So. But the Kings had a couple leads. They're up 2-1. They're up 3-2. It's just, and then just before the game-winning goal, that's the way it is. It's tight. There's a lot of things we can break it down. There's a lot of mistakes that are made, but Trevor Moore has a breakaway. It's shorthanded. If he gets that, whole different story. 10 seconds later, puck's in the Kings net. And that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
you have to live with. And that's where mental toughness comes in. That's where you've got to put that behind you. So you could just feel it. Winnipeg is a team that's been really strong all year. They're just trying to kind of get their game ready for playoffs, and that's what they did against the Kings.
Who do you think has the best chance in the Pacific Division to make it through to the next round after this first round? I'm not sure where it kind of looks like we know where everybody's going to be, but like, who do you think's, getting through to second round?
Yeah.
Obviously we think the Kings will.
Well, I haven't looked at the odds. I don't know what the odds makers are saying. I would say that probably, as I look at it right now, it would be the Edmonton Oilers. Vancouver's in first. The Oilers are trying to catch them. I don't think they're going to catch them.
No.
Vancouver's had a very interesting season. There's a statistic in the NHL called PDO. It's not an acronym. It doesn't stand for anything, but it measures what they say luck, if you can believe that, if you can measure luck. But basically all you do is you add up your shooting percentage and your team save percentage. And all season long, Vancouver has been very high in both of those areas. The number is there to say that normally things will come back to the norm. They will come back to the middle. And Vancouver hasn't done that. So for them to keep going like that is mathematically very difficult to do. So that's why I give a little bit of the edge to Edmonton. Of course, you have the defending Stanley Cup champions in Vegas. You have the Kings right there. But again, what you're looking at is who has shown it for the most part all season long. I mean, Edmonton was just awful, awful, awful out of the gates. But after the first 20 games or so, they've been as strong as anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody'd like to see a little Connor McDavid get to the next round.
Not us.
No,
I've seen
you
enough.
definitely don't want to see it.
I've seen enough of Connor McDavid.
My daughter
if you look
cried at that last game last year. She was beside herself.
Yeah, he is the best player in the world.
Yeah.
So the difficult part of breaking down a playoff series when you're playing against a player and a team that has a Connor McDavid is that no matter how well you play some nights, he can win the game all by himself. And that's something that in hockey is very difficult to do. If I were to look at the other division, the Central Division, like Dallas is maybe almost the opposite of Edmonton in that they have four lines that they all play the same way. They don't have any superstars, and that's the way they win games. Colorado, true superstars, McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar. So that's where the strength is probably in the Central. And Winnipeg has been strong all year. They've kind of fallen off of late, but they're a big, big, strong team. So the 2-3 matchups in both divisions are going to be very, very interesting. And you know what? If the Kings happen to finish where they are right now, you're probably looking at Dallas or Colorado, which is very difficult. But it's the 2-3. That's going to be tough to come out of each division. Where that first round is going to be very tough.
I hear you on that. I agree that the Avalanche are just they have so many machines.
They've been my pick.
Machines.
They were my pick, back basically before, the season, knowing and assuming that they would make some trade deadline acquisitions, which they did. Nothing that you're going to, just wow, but smart little, here and there. And I think they're a stronger team now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think those were good moves. I don't know what I didn't really understand why Edmonton picked up Adam Henrique and Sam Carrick from the Ducks. I wasn't sure what that trade was. Does that ring for you? Why that would happen?
Yeah, it does, because it is first of all, they need a little bit more balance, a little bit more veteran up front. Again, they're probably still a little top heavy because when you have McDavid and Draisaitl, but then Zach Hyman has over 50 goals playing with McDavid. I think with Henrique, they're just looking for veteran experience. He's been there before, so when it gets tough, they can win the shootout. I don't think anyone can, they can back and forth. If it's a track meet, they're going to win. Can they win the tight, hard, checking game? And to be honest, I think that's where Sam Carrick comes in. I think he's an excellent, tough, that type of a player. So I believe that, again, the acquisitions that Edmonton made there addressed a weakness on their team, which was, a little bit more depth, and then just that little grind it out a little bit. And I think they got that.
Well, that's good. I think they'll, I mean, I didn't understand it, but I guess that I get it from your standpoint. That makes a lot of sense. And
Little
they
pieces.
probably do need that for sure, for sure. So, I think at at the beginning of the playoffs, these teams are all going to be, very nervous. I think that's one thing I get. They're all very nervous that they're not going to get to the second round. So I think some bad things are going to happen to some teams that would otherwise play, solid NHL hockey. The playoffs throw all bets are off, and you kind of see it. You kind of see it right now, and they're trying to like secure up, shore up these spots.
I think that, the team that, again, it's, hey, you got to play the games, but Vancouver, again, is a team that is, for the first time as a group, as this group together, they've taken some steps to, again, top of the Pacific, basically all season long. I mean, start to finish. So they've done it. It's just that this would be their first going into a playoffs scenario together as a group. And
yeah, they're totally killing it.
Yeah, there's some learning lessons that need to be done and learned along the way. And I assume they're going to feel confident. They should. They've proven it all year long. But now, yeah, the true proving ground is when the playoffs start.
Oh yeah. And I think, I don't know. I don't see any of these teams like sitting people or playing them less. I think they're all kind of, realizing they got to play it up to the minute. So I am always concerned for the injury at the, the last few games coming in here.
Well, Edmonton's addressed that. Their general manager has addressed it. He said last year, the last couple of years, they went too hard at the end of the year. And so we'll see what happens. Again, they still have a chance to get first place. So that's just come into the realm here the last 2 weeks or so. So I think going down to the end, because Edmonton's schedule is horrific. They still have, I think, 3 back-to-backs remaining. They're going to play a lot of games in a few nights, and that's when you get concerned about injury, especially at this time of the year. So if they, for whatever reason, feel they don't have a chance, I would not be surprised the guys are rested. But right now, they're in that race for first, so that might change things.
Yeah, no, I get it. Well, it's awesome. I guess lastly, I don't want to keep you all night. I know you had a long night, but just who do you think is going to win the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, I mean, again, if I'm going favorites, and again, I leave the Kings out of it because, that's what the team I would hope to win.
Right.
The question there. But I'm going to go just with what I had a feel at the beginning, and I'm going to go with Colorado and Carolina. And, I think there's been a lot of big moves made at the trade deadline this year. Big, I think Carolina certainly did as much as anyone. So, they're 2 different teams. Again, I think you'd probably consider Colorado to be more top heavy than Carolina. Carolina more deep, much like Dallas is. So those are the 2 teams I would go for. And if I would go heads up, I would go Carolina. That's my feel right now. I think their depth and their balance and the pace of play they can play out, that's the team I would go with. But yeah, still a lot of things to be determined. But hey, I think those are 2 pretty good picks. So.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. I would throw in a sneak attack by the Rangers.
I think not bad, huh?
They're not bad. I think that they may become gamers enough at the playoffs to do some damage. So we'll see, but I can't argue with you on Carolina and the Avs. They're amazing.
We'll see. Yeah. With the Rangers, the concern there is that they've gotten by with their power play. Usually in the playoffs, you have fewer power plays. So the 5-on-5, which I think they've adjusted and made some improvements in the last little while, but still that would be the biggest concern. But what they do is win. So
they do.
That's all you're supposed to do, right? At the end of the night, have more than the other guys.
You got it, man. Well, listen, I really appreciate you coming on to talk about the Kings, where they are and what you think's going on in the NHL. We're going to watch closely, enjoy the playoffs, and hopefully we see the Kings in a good, solid position to get to the next round.
Yeah, next 2 weeks, obviously that's going to be it for us, and we got to go ahead and just It's right there in front of the Kings. It's right there. It's on the board. It's just, work on your own game and be solid that way. Thanks, Doc.
Thank you, Jim Fox. Take care. We'll see you.